My name is Assessment-Lege. This is for my Interpersonal Communications course 1318. For my first definition I have is empathy. Empathy is feeling what the other person is feeling. I'm using one of my own personal examples. This is whenever, this has happened lately, one of my parents' friends who is a family friend who had died. I didn't know them all that well, but I still felt that same sadness and regret that they feel. Emotional expression is communicating with your emotions to others. I'm using the case study. This is case study 13. This is disclosing private information, newly married couples, embarrassing dilemmas. This is on page 83, and this is the first paragraph. This is when Jennifer said she feels embarrassed because she doesn't know or want to talk about specific things about their marriage. This is her and Matt's marriage, and this is where she doesn't want to talk about as openly as he and his family talk about thousands of things, and because she's very kept to herself, and so is her family. Felicitative emotions is an emotion that helps you communicate with your emotions more clearly and can help your relationships. I'm using one of my own personal examples. This is whenever sometimes I play softball and I'm nervous, and I usually think of every scenario before I even get the ball or throw it. So again, this is me preparing for understanding my emotions and how to regulate them into something that's positive. Emotional labor is the invisible effort it takes to regulate your emotions. I'm using case study number 13. Again, this is disclosing private information, newly married couples, embarrassing dilemmas. This is on page 83, and this is the third paragraph. This is when Matt didn't know how uncomfortable Jennifer was around his mother. So this is whenever Jennifer was saying that I feel so uncomfortable around his mother, and I feel weird that she wants to be all buddy, and they're not, because she doesn't really feel like she knows her all that well. But again, this is the emotional labor that Jennifer is having to do in her head and again in her feelings. So again, Matt didn't know about this. So again, emotional labor. Emotional intelligence is knowing your emotions and managing them, as well as doing the same for others. I'm using one of my own personal examples. This is when I'm around my grandmother, and I often have to manage my own emotions because of the way she is. I also have to manage hers as well. It doesn't matter what we're talking about. I have feelings about the subject, and she does as well, but I always feel like that her emotions, again, are over what mine usually are, or what she wants to talk about, or what she's an interesting woman. Fallacies are a negative belief of emotions that come together to create other emotions. I'm using case study number 13. This is, again, disclosing private information, newly married couples, embarrassing dilemmas. This is on page 84, and this is paragraph 9. This is when Matt thought his mom would go ballistic. So before all this is whenever Matt's brother, his name is Jamie, was he and his girlfriend, they were pregnant accidentally, and they were hoping to keep the baby, and he was imagining his mom going crazy, oh my goodness, how could you do that? This is horrible. What are we gonna do? And his mom was actually really nice, and she said no, it's okay, we help you, and they were super accepting, which is what everyone should be doing. So again, it's really nice that his mom did that. Convey gratitude is telling someone your significant other how grateful you are to either be with them or around them. So this is one of my personal examples. So anytime I'm at softball, for the whole day, I always tell my friends that I'm grateful that I'm not the only one who wants to go home, because we all love the sport, and so do my friends. We all love the sport, but after doing something for so long, you get tired, you want to take a break, you want to go home, you want to eat, you want to see your animals and all that kind of stuff. But I am always happy that I am not the only one that wants to go home. And of course, before all this, I always tell them I'm so grateful that you're here, but I am also grateful that we get to go home at some point. This is conveying gratitude. I language is a question or statement that someone starts with. Again, this is the pronoun I. So I chose case study number 13. This is disclosing private information for newly married couples, embarrassing dilemmas, page 86 and paragraph 25. This is whenever Matt's brother Ed asks what's wrong with Jennifer, and this is whenever Jennifer had stormed out of the room because they were talking about them potentially having kids, and she wasn't ready for that talk yet, and she didn't want to talk about that in front of his family. And this is what he said. This is a quote from that, and this is what Matt said. He's like, I don't know exactly. I better go talk to her. Again, he's starting it with the pronoun I, which is an I statement. Perspective taking is imagining you're in someone else's place. This is one of my own personal examples. This is whenever one of my friends was having trouble with her ex, and she asked for my advice, and of course I had to take a step back and put myself in her shoes to make sure that I was understanding what she's been through and what he's been through and how they are together. And then of course I gave her my advice. They are no longer together, not because of my advice, but because of opinion differences, and of course you know how people are. Validation is acknowledging someone's said or not said thoughts, feelings, or necessities. This can be either or both. This is from the case study number 13, disclosing private information for newly married couples, embarrassing dilemmas. This is page 84, and this is paragraph 10. This is when the families validated and accepted that Jamie and his girlfriend wanted to keep the baby. And again, it wasn't a full quote that said we accept you and we're validating what you want to do, but Matt was saying this, and he said yes, they validated, and they were yes, we accept you and we accepted what you're doing. So again, that was validation. I want to thank you so much. My name is Assessment-Lege, and that was for my interpersonal communications course 1318.